Okay, good afternoon. It's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you, Ian. Can you hear me? Yeah. I've been asked to speak about conservation education in the United States. And so I'm going to focus on all the graduate programs, but particularly on our own. I chair the Art Conservation Department at the University of Delaware, where we have an undergraduate program, a master's degree program, excuse me, which is jointly sponsored with Winter Museum, and a PhD in preservation studies. I'm going to focus primarily on master's level training in the United States. This is a terminal degree in art conservation. But I did want to mention that in the United States, there's 6 or so undergraduate programs that are focused on preparing students for graduate education in art conservation, where students take required curriculum in chemistry and art history and anthropology and museum studies, studio art, as well as gaining conservation experience. There are 4 graduate programs, master level programs in the United States, which are listed here at NYU, Buffalo, our program at Winter University of Delaware, and UCLA Getty. And all these programs are similar in many ways. We work together very closely. We actually share curriculum. We assess where the field is going. We even do collaborative fundraising, which is really quite wonderful. And then we're different also. So for example, the UCLA Getty program is focused primarily in archaeological and ethnographic conservation. The NYU program, the students receive both a Master's of Science in Art Conservation as well as a Master's of Arts in Art History. But what I think is so significant is the way that we collaborate very effectively. And we build our curriculum in different ways, but we're often looking at a document which you might find very interesting if you're beginning to build a curriculum elsewhere, and that was Essential Competencies in Conservation that was prepared by the American Institute of Conservation. It begins to define 13 areas, some of which are listed here and here as well, where you should build a curriculum. What are those key skills and competencies that are required for entry-level conservators? So this is a useful document, certainly for all of us. In our program at the University of Delaware, we offer a Master's of Science. It's a 3-year program, which is jointly sponsored by University of Delaware, and a museum as well. This offers for rich collaboration, the research and scholarship of a university, the amazing collections at Winter Museum, the education, development, and all the other advocacy and community engagement that goes in between. We also take advantage, of course, of the collections there to build knowledge, skills, and abilities among our students. We accept 10 students every year. Our applicant pool this year was 90, so it gives you an idea sort of the range of the number of students. These are individuals who have the required coursework in chemistry, art history, studio art, as well as conservation experience. We require 400 hours of experience, but in fact, this year in interviewing students, we had many students who were applying who had 8,000 hours of experience in conservation before going into graduate school. They're coming with a great passion for the field, with enormous knowledge and skills, and a real commitment to working globally. We rely on partnerships, the work that Ian spoke about. We're so grateful to Yale and everything that they've done for our students, past and present. These museum and cultural institution partnerships are essential to the education and training of our students. And in all cases, with all the programs, these students receive a tuition scholarship, fellowship support, as well as research travel support. In our program, we train individuals in a variety of areas. It's a 3-year program. You can major in photographic conservation or paper conservation, in objects of all kinds, ethnographic, modern, and decorative arts as well. This slide, I won't read it to you, but it begins to sort of characterize what we're trying to achieve in terms of critical thinking and decision-making, an understanding of the broad range of materials that you're likely to encounter as a conservator. And although it's for our program, it's certainly true of all the graduate programs in the United States. Our program, as I said, is a 3-year program of study. During the first year, students are exposed to all areas of conservation in what we call blocks. So we teach a paper block, a photographic conservation block, a paintings block, an objects block, where they learn about these materials, what they are, how they deteriorate, how to preserve them, scientific concepts associated with their care. They learn about advocacy and public engagement as well. I teach the photographic conservation block. That's my field. And so in that case, I want to ensure that all of these students, whether they major in photography or not, have a broad understanding of the different materials, negatives, and prints. By the way, that's my grandson there in digital on the right. But everything from the daguerreotype to the digital print. During the last photograph conservation blocks, we've also been involved in emergency response and preparedness. The last 2 years, we've worked to recover 300 photographs, 1 year damaged in a fire, and the following year in a flood. We believe very strongly in the importance of community engagement and connecting to these activities and sharing our knowledge and skills and learning from those experiences in very significant ways. During the second year, the students are focused in their discipline, what they're going to major in, learning about scientific concepts about the treatment, ethical decision-making, ethics, and philosophy associated around their majors. Here are just some of my favorite, most recent projects by Garrett Albertson, Before Conservation and After. Of course, this is not just about conservation treatment, it's about the cultural context, the scientific knowledge, advocacy, and fundraising. Here, Bianca Garcia, who graduates this year, Before and After Treatment. And then a project done not too long ago on archaeological glass. Again, we're focused, of course, on building these hand skills, but building critical thinking skills as well. And finally, in the third year, the students are involved in internships off-site that are 11 months in length at cultural institutions really around the world, where they are involved in the practical application, developing their skills and knowledge and professionalism. And just one other project in textile conservation, the Victoria and Albert Museum, Before and After Treatment. We believe strongly in the importance of global engagement, and we try to ensure that there are opportunities for our students to work collaboratively and globally as well. We're grateful to the Samuel H. Kress Foundation, who has supported this initiative for many years, where students can spend summers working around the globe. Most recently, one of our students in photograph conservation was in Beirut, working on disaster preparedness with the Arab Image Foundation, and they really work all over the world in that regard. In terms of graduate placement, on behalf of all our programs, I'm very happy to say that our students do receive jobs and fellowships after they finish their master's training. Many of the students eventually go on to work privately. 51% of our alums are working in the private sector, but others, and so it's very important that we're engaging them and connecting them to all different aspects of conservation, building them as advocates and fundraisers, and building their time management skills and their commitment to community engagement, as well as their skills in conservation. And finally, of course, we believe strongly in the importance of partnerships, and we have been working recently, thanks to support from the Mellon Foundation, with historically black colleges and universities, building awareness about the preservation of their photographic and now audiovisual collections, connecting our students to their students, trying to inspire their students to think about careers in art conservation. And around the globe as well, we've been working in Erbil, Iraq. We've developed with other partners, certainly, an institute training Iraqis in the preservation of cultural heritage. On the left and on the right is a slide from our work in the Middle East, where we're working closely with the Arab Image Foundation to build awareness around the importance of photographic conservation. This project particularly funded by the Mellon Foundation as well, and in collaboration with the Getty Conservation Institute. More recently, we've been working in Africa to try and build awareness around photographic conservation in sub-Saharan Africa. Here is, of course, in the School of African Heritage in Benin. So finally, fundraising, of course, is very key in all these efforts and very rewarding as well. And we work across the spectrum with foundations, corporations, individuals, government agencies, and we're grateful to their support in all of these activities, whether they're supporting students for research travel or stipend support. Finally, just a few other remarks here. It is so important in developing this curriculum that you continue to revise it, that you ensure that you're meeting the needs of the field in a very powerful way, that you consult with your alums and the field more general and allied professionals to address the curriculum. For example, we're beginning to do more now in preventive conservation, to do more with new technologies, to do more with modern and contemporary art. And we need to ensure that our students are well prepared to meet these emerging global needs. Partnerships, of course, as you heard from Ian and you'll hear from me and probably every speaker here, are so essential. Collaboration is very important. Advocacy is critical, that we're graduating individuals who can advocate for the preservation of cultural heritage and that we're working with them to do that. And encouraging what's most rewarding in my mind is really global engagement. And we try to do that as well. So that's it. I did 40 slides. I think I might have been over by 10 seconds. But I tried to do my best. Thank you so much for your attention.